Well, good morning, my friends. Cindy Eriks here, doing this video for the second time because I deleted it by mistake. So hopefully I'll remember all the things that came to mind when I was reading this article. And so if you've watched any of the environmental videos I've done before, especially this week, you'll know that my video got pulled by the YT, and I had to redo it. I redid it yesterday, and I had to abbreviate, use certain letters instead of words so that it wouldn't get taken down. I'm going to need to do the same thing with this one today. Unfortunately, because of they're watching everything, and if they don't like it, even though it might be the truth, even though it is the truth. So this is based on an article from I'm going to use the name Dr. M, because if I use the name, this person's videos have been pulled down many times for speaking truth. And I have a full PDF copy of the article I can send to you if you'd like to read it for yourself. I think it'd be important maybe for you to have it. So if you want a copy of this PDF, I'll be glad to email it to you. And for privacy reasons, you can go to my website, indoorairqualitymatters.com, and send me a private message. It'll only come to me. Any message you send on my website will only come to me. So you can give me your email address and tell me that you want a copy of this, and I'll be glad to send it to you. It'd be really good for you to have it. So it's based on an article. It was dated today, and it has to do with life expectancy and how it's been declining in the United States. And I've learned this a long time ago on my journey, on my taking care of my health journey that started a few years ago, where I lost 85 pounds and got rid of type 2 diabetes. Well, I have gained half of that back. I've been stress eating, not following my own recommendations, basically. Although I'm getting back on track now. I learned a lot. I studied functional nutrition, and I learned a lot about the problems with the foods that we're eating that cause disease. And let me add right now, the first book I read that really helped me, it kind of just springboarded me onto this journey, was a book by Dr. Tom O'Brien called The Autoimmune Fix. And that led me to other authors and other doctors and information, and I've just learned so much. And one of the things that I learned in this process was that life expectancy in the United States is a real issue. And what I learned during this process was that, I'm almost 68, so my parents' generation, even though my parents died when they were very young for different reasons, I don't need to go into here, but it's kind of the exception. So for generally speaking, my parents' generation had the longest lifespan. They lived the longest. And I'm sure that had a lot to do with medical interventions and just knowledge, good knowledge that came about over the years. But my generation, this is all statistically, this is out there, you can find it in so many places. They lived so long, the longest. My generation will live less long. My son's generation, he's 39 this week, will live less long. And his son, who's 12, will live less long. That's the projection downward. And this has troubled me for some years now. And so this article by the doctor addresses this right here, and that's why I wanted to do this video today, to talk about it, because I've wanted to talk about it for a long time and I just haven't gotten around to it. But anyway, it's the story at a glance is life expectancy in the United States is currently declining, making it the only developed nation with this concerning trend. Hear that. Since the 1930s, there's been a dramatic 700% increase in chronic disease development, rising from 7.5% prevalence to 60% of the population having one or more chronic conditions today. And I think we saw that with the problem we had in 2020, why so many people were lost because of all the underlying conditions that people were suffering from that just contributed to. In the 1800s, people ate 3 structured meals a day: breakfast, dinner, supper, without snacking, without fasting, maintaining a simpler relationship with food than we have today. Our ancestors consumed a high-carb diet, rich in saturated fats, with minimal polyunsaturated fats, also known as PUFAS, as they didn't use vegetable oils or eat many nuts and seeds. The 1950s marked a significant shift in dietary recommendations, particularly regarding saturated fats, animal products, leading to major changes in the American diet. I'm sure many will remember, some won't. The younger ones won't remember this because they weren't around, but there's been long-standing, residualness, whatever the word is, for that's just that are in the diet today, like the food pyramid, which is really, it needs to be turned upside down, really. And so there were things like cholesterol and eggs, because eggs and cholesterol, don't eat eggs, eat the egg whites, eat the substitutions and stuff like that. But did you know that scientists have studied the brains of Alzheimer's patients under autopsy and found that one big common factor is no or little to no cholesterol. Your brain lives off of cholesterol. Brain function illnesses, neurological illnesses, low cholesterol contributes. And then, we get put on these low cholesterol drugs. I won't go down that path right now, but that can be very, very, very dangerous. Anyway, to optimize your health, return to simpler food principles. Cook at home. You know what you're purchasing. Maybe you don't know what you're purchasing a lot of the time. I know that. Source quality ingredients. Then you'll know what you're cooking within your means. And stay active and prioritize happiness over strict dietary rules. So he goes on to say there's a profound value looking to the past, drawing from the wisdom of our ancestors to uncover how they cultivated healthy, balanced lives and sustain their communities across generations. While the life expectancy may not have been as long back then, this data is skewed by low birth survival rates, which modern medicine has drastically improved. And did you know that the U.S. actually has a decline in life expectancy in modern times, which I already told you in the beginning of this? It's the only developed nation with declining health. And he has a chart here, which is amazing to me. Crazy amazing, scary amazing, which has the countries listed and the years 2010, 2015, 2019. So when I give out these numbers, that's the order I'm going in. The healthy life expectancy of different nations, different countries. I'll say it in that order: 10, 15, and 19. 2019. So Japan at 73 in 2010, 73.6 and 74.1. So it's rising just a little bit. You go to the bottom of the list. There's 2 columns on this list. The USA, 66.7, 66.6, 66.1. Decline. So the top countries of life expectancy are Japan, Switzerland, Cyprus, Spain, France, Iceland, Italy, Sweden, Luxembourg, Malta, Netherlands, Norway, Canada, Ireland. And then it goes from there to, that brings you down to 70.8 years, 70.1 years. And then, sorry, I was looking at the 2019. That goes from 74 years down to 71. And then there's and Denmark, Finland, Portugal are also 71. And then Austria, Australia, Germany, Greece, Slovenia, Belgium, New Zealand, United Kingdom, Chile, and then it drops to 69. And it goes down from there. Chile, Estonia, Chechnya, Poland, Croatia, Slovakia, Hungary, Romania, Lithuania, Latvia, and then the USA. We're at the bottom of this list. It's really, and that's the source for this is the World Health Organization 12/4/2020. And I'm going to skip a little bit of this stuff. Again, I said if you'd like a copy of the PDF, just let me know. You can dive deeper. Since the food we eat every single day plays the biggest lever in improving our health, let's investigate the diets of our ancestors. So they had a different relationship with food, as he said, where abundance was celebrated, meals were a source of joy, at the dinner table was the heart of the family, in an era before processed foods and modern food fears. People maintained a simpler, more intuitive connection with their meals. And what he finds most intriguing is how their approach differs from our modern perspective. And we grapple with complex dietary restrictions. And when our ancestors were focused on nutrition, celebration, and making the most of available ingredients. So, it was a time when we used to eat whatever was growing in that season, right? Or whatever we had stored up from seasons prior by way of fermentation or canning or freezing. And so, like, I live in North Florida. I'm in New Jersey right now, but I live in North Florida. There's always something growing there, right? We could get lots of greens there's lots of certain kinds of greens in the wintertime and some different things like that. But people would eat what was locally growing. And so, here I am in New Jersey, and it's going to be cold, and there's nothing really growing here. I don't want to say nothing. Maybe there's something growing. Well, I have some things growing. I have some lettuces and arugula and spinach growing right now that I'm doing indoors, but I mean outdoors. He talks about looking back at vintage cookbooks, way vintage cookbooks, and discussing the consistent trends, And so truthfully, he says they ate a very metabolically supportive diet. And they ate a lot of food calories. They didn't fast. They ate high carb, primarily saturated rich fat sources with low PUFAs, polyunsaturated fats, and consume vitamin B rich animal protein sources. So he takes a look, and he has some pictures here of where he says, I'm slightly fascinated by the farming and culinary traditions of our ancestors, so I hope you enjoy these meal plans. It's hard, it's a little harder to read, but breakfast: pork steak, cold quail, pickled scallops, baked potatoes, milk, something, brown bread, rolls, tea, and coffee. Dinner, some kind of soup. I can't read the name of it, but it's got mutton cutlets, carrots, onions, celery, port wine, mushroom, and roast beef with lima beans, squash, potatoes, 2.5 pounds of veal, eggs, pork, butter. Oh man, and then they got a dessert on here. So it's like It's interesting. Anyway, I'm not going to read anymore. If you want the download the PDF file, feel free to send me a message. I'll glad to send it to you. And then there's one in 1893. Beef stew with dumplings, potatoes, turnip, bread and butter, bread pudding was lunchtime. Supper, salmon patties, rye bread, butter, applesauce, cake, tea. Anyway, it is interesting, and you can see how they're dated. You can see the coloring of the paper. There, it's old. It's old. So, anyway, the saturated fat and animal product and cholesterol fear-mongering propaganda during the 50s led to a huge shift in our dietary fat. And since the 30s, of course, I've said this before, there's a 700% increase in chronic disease development. Letting go of food fears. Instead of being overwhelmed, focus on just one area of your sourcing. I really liked this about the article because it can be overwhelming. It can be just too much, right, to take in and try to make changes with. But just think of one area. And one area I was thinking of was, you're going to eat bread, buy organic bread, or buy organic, organic and GMO free, right? Organic flour, and make your bread. I found a recipe. I came across a recipe on YouTube for very quick, not very quick, but easy, very easy bread to make a loaf of bread. And the author of that video, I'm going to try it. I'm going to do it for Thanksgiving dinner rolls. You can make dinner rolls out of it, or you can make a loaf of bread. And basically, it's taking the bread recipe, putting the yeast in it, activating the yeast in it, stirring it up really good, letting it sit in a warm place. In an hour, go back, stir it again. Basically, you're letting it sit for 2 hours. You don't have to knead it. It's called a no knead version. So you can have fresh bread, because the organic bread shouldn't have any of the nasty ingredients in it that would be preservatives, right? So it's going to go, fresh bread goes bad faster. So you can freeze it. My sister says don't refrigerate bread. I have done that before, too frequently, but make your own bread. This easy bread method, right? And then you can make it 2-3 times a week and have fresh bread every day if you want a sandwich with bread. Start with something. There's so much glyphosate poured over our wheat and stuff, cereals, wheat, anything that comes from grains. So he made that change with bread to start with, and then little by little, you make another change. And then you make another change. Start cooking at home. Carry it with you. Yeah, it's more time consuming than going through a fast food place, but man, if you only knew what the kind of quality of the foods are, and how they're being cooked, and how harmful it is to you, and how addictive actually. There's things in the food that cause you to be addicted to it. There's one certain fast food place that I love, and they got a special sauce. And man, oh man, it's like I crave that sauce. I can think about it right now and want to go get that, but I know how bad it is, so I'm staying away. So, just let's look around. It's like there's so much more. There's so much more in this article about that. This doctor has a book out called Your Guide to Cellular Health, and it's really about cell function in your body. That's really going to improve your health if you can discover how to fuel your mitochondria to get boundless energy and rapid healing, right? So I hope that this was helpful to you today and informative to you, and if it was and you did like it, please consider liking it, sharing it, and subscribing to my channel. I know I have a variety channel going on right now with a bunch of different topics, but that's kind of it's what I'm about. It's who I am, and I thank you. I say have a happy Thanksgiving. Don't let this stuff mess with your head over a Thanksgiving meal that you've been thinking about. It's 2 days away, And I know I put out a video the other day on this best gravy, and I had to use not organic chicken wings and necks to make the gravy, and so because I couldn't find them organic. So I'm making exceptions, right? So we're making our homemade dressing and from our own bread cubes that we cut up, and it's not from homemade organic bread. So me too. I've gotten off track, and I'm going to head back and make changes little by little. But for Thanksgiving, I'm going to have some stuff will be organic, some stuff won't. I'm not going to do a turkey this year because it's just two of us. But I'm going to do a organic chicken because that's better in my budget, and I like the taste of chicken better than turkey. So just I hope that you can take this and use some of the information. God bless you, and happy Thanksgiving.